Okay, let's see if we can try that again. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we are live on a Sunday afternoon, and that means that we're talking about coping with stress. And the first thing I did was manage to nuke my own broadcast. Really brilliant. But that's what life does to us, doesn't it? So I'm hoping you all had a wonderful week. It's been a week since I've spoken with you because we didn't have a broadcast on Friday. And for those of you who don't know, there was a good reason for that. I was having my annual celebration with Doug. Um, he and I celebrate birthdays within 5 days of each other. And his birthday was on the 25th, and mine is tomorrow. And so we always get together once a year to celebrate our birthdays and do some fun stuff. So you are going to hear a bit more about that in a moment. So I'm hoping that you all had a good weekend, and that's the main thing. I have got lots of things for you today, and we're going to be talking mostly about asking for help because that's what I did this week. Hi there, Sharon, and thank you for the birthday wishes. I appreciate it. We're going to be talking about asking for help because I think it's a thing that's difficult for people to do. Hi, Jody. And I talk about it regularly because it's only when I do it and I get the benefit of it that I think, I've got to keep talking about this because what happens, I guess the question is to all of us is why don't we ask for help? What is it that makes us think we don't need it? And I don't know about you guys, but I used to be able to do so much more. And I just, if I accept the fact that that's okay, that I can't anymore, then life gets easier. And I also have learned great patience. I've got this list that I have for different people. I have a list that says, if Yvonne comes to visit, I need help with da 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 da. And then I let that thing go because I know it's not something I can do on my own. And then I have another list, which is if Dougie comes to visit, and believe you me, his list was quite long. And as you're going to hear, it was amazing what he managed to do in the time that he was with me. Remember to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, because when we have a broadcast coming up or a broadcast canceled or whatever, I will normally put it up on Facebook. That is the number one place where I will put it. And also normally on Twitter as well. I also would suggest that you make sure you follow us here on YouTube, if you're not already a follower, because that's where we do the broadcast. Yeah. I wanted to let you know that the temperature here, I don't know what it's like where you are, but our temperature is really playing games with us. It apparently is 72, which would be 22 Celsius for those of us who, that are not in America. But it feels colder. I'm sort of waiting for my heat to kick in almost. You know what I mean? And as you can see, I'm out of the tank top and into a t-shirt again. And it's really strange. So be it. And I don't know what it is, what the temperature is like for you guys. And perhaps you can let me know. But it's definitely, you can feel, that the leaves are beginning to drop already. I'm going, it's not October. What are you doing? But I'm already starting to see, some brown leaves on my backyard. And I'm going, yikes, that's pretty soon. So first of all, I thought, I'm sure you all share this with me, but thoughts and prayers for everybody in the path of the hurricane. If you know anybody that's in the path of the hurricane, my thoughts and prayers are with you. And also, obviously, for everybody in the next 48 hours trying to, well, actually, it'll be probably 36 hours, trying to escape from Afghanistan. And maybe not just then, because I'm pretty certain that the getting people out will continue. It'll be in clandestine ways, but I'm pretty certain it will continue until everybody that wants to get out is out. I wanted to wish happy birthday for those of you who might have missed it to Beth. It was her birthday on the 26th. Happy birthday to me for tomorrow. And Jeannie, I believe your birthday on the 8th of September. And then Beth's husband, Charles, is on the 11th. So if we've got any other birthdays in that sort of time span, the next couple of weeks, please let us know. We try to keep track of them. And we do have a database, and that's where I go to do the birthday wishes. So if you're not on it, please let either Jody, and Jody being our admin, know, or to send me a note at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. Yeah, Jody's saying that where she is in New Hampshire, it's been in the 60s for the past few days, which is really comfortable for her. And she's saying that, that's for her pain management, that is really ideal. And she's also saying that fall is in the air. Yes, it's amazing, isn't it? It's like, I don't know, to me, I always think of fall being October, but I guess it's September, right? And thanks, before I move on, thanks to Lynn, wherever you are, honey, for the fun thumbnails that you do, the little pictures that we put up for the broadcast. I really appreciate them. I mean, I know that you know that, but I'm going to keep thanking you anyway. Did anybody have any fun unboxing of anything since I last spoke to you? I know Jody had a score, right, Jody? And I'm going to quote you, if that's okay, about your meds, because I thought that was incredible. And that goes to show, if you bother to spend the time to look deep enough, it's amazing what you can find, just taking that time. And I know time is precious to us, but if you're trying to save money, time is also your best friend. And Jody was saying that she found a deal on the multivitamins that she needs to take. And the deal was so good that it took her daily cost of multivitamins down from $1.10 a day to just 37 cents a day. That is dropping it by 66%. I think that's pretty impressive. Hi, Izza, good to see you. I think that's pretty impressive. However, the downside of it was that she needed to buy a year's worth to get that price. Well, I just bought a year's worth, probably 2 years worth of soap. So for the same reason, and I got soap at $1 a piece because I bought enough to keep me going for the next couple of years. So remember, and I wanted to remind you, about my, some time back, I bought some of that brawny in the little squares. Well, I haven't started using it yet. And I thought I would just mention that I am still using the supply that I took in this time last year. And I'm just coming to the end of it. I think I've got, you see my paper towel there. I think I've got 1.5 left before I start using the ones that go into small ones. And the one thing that I wanted to say about that was I suddenly realized if push came to shove, those little quarter ones would make toilet paper if I ever needed it. In other words, because the sheets are bigger and in quarters, I'm thinking that actually I might buy more of it just so that I've got an emergency toilet paper supply if necessary. So I had anybody else have anything interesting that they got in unboxing? Oh, before I get on to that, just an update on my indoor garden. I just wanted to let you know that this is a spinach that I've been growing, all since I got back, right? I want to tell you, I use spinach a lot more than I ever did. Why? Because whenever I'm cooking anything, I think, I think I'll have a piece of spinach in there, whether it's in a wrap or in something I'm cooking, and I will just take a leaf and put it in. And so interesting for me. Also, the same thing with my cabbage, all right? I just keep taking a leaf here and there and throwing it in, which I wouldn't have done before. So that's a good one. And by the way, this is the next base of a cabbage that I'm starting to grow. And as you can probably see, can you see the roots there already? And that's probably in 2 weeks. I've just got it on some wet sponge. And I just put it like that. And then the roots will keep going down to find the water. All right, and the sponge is damp, but the water is actually at the bottom. So in a very short space of time, that's going to be self-sufficient. And if you look at this one, I mean, how long did we did this one back in May? And it's amazing how long it's lasted me. So don't forget, if you're on your own, it's a really good hack. Now, how many of you are crafters? I'm thinking some of you are. Oh, but before I get there, I also wanted to say to you, the other thing I'm finding is really fun is I've got this mini haul of some peas and some beans and fresh tomato from my garden, and of course potatoes. And that is really the same thing. When I'm cooking, I'll throw in a couple of beans or a couple of peas. And I would just say that it's really warms my heart. So for the crafters, I found these really cool pens. I don't know if you can see these, but they're like jewel. They are a color and silver at the same time. Can you see that? I wonder if that shows up properly on the cast. Jody, let me know if you can see the silver and the... So it's like the inside is silver, but the outside is a color. Really cool. And it's not what I thought I was buying. I didn't realize they were markers. However, I do want to tell you they go really through. All right. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. All right, so they go all the way through. So just be aware. Yeah, and I'm thinking Christmas cards and stuff. Yeah, I thought so. So what I will do, and especially if Jody reminds me, I will put up a link so you can see what they are. But they literally come like this. They look like a regular marker, and then as you drop the lid, as you use them, okay, they just come up with these two colors. It's just like so cute. And really nice for when you're doing an envelopes, just to do a little pattern around the address or something. I know, for crafty people, I know that's something you'd want to see. So Jody, just remind me, and I will put up a link for people. I want to say that good to see you, Sharon, if I didn't say that before. As always, I don't know why your name always makes me smile, but what a wonderful gift you have, that every time I see your name, I know I can feel your sense of humor. Isn't that weird? Anyway, I wanted to give the quote that I've probably given before many times, but I always liked it. It's from Barack Obama. He said, "Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it." I do that every day. Asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. It shows you have the courage to admit that you don't know how to do something and to learn how to do something new. And so I would say that is one of the greatest things for me, is to admit that, hey, I can't do it all anymore. I used to be able to, but I can't. And I wonder how many of you give yourself that gift. I always say to my friends now, if you want to give me a gift, please give me the gift of your time, because that is what I need now at this stage of my life. And it's amazing how that has worked. I am doing really well. I don't know about you guys in terms of unboxing, of getting my seeds ready for the fall and winter. I have Planted. I'm still waiting for a couple of seeds to arrive. Some winter grasses, grasses that grow in the winter, so it'll be color in my planters. But I've got some. I think it's called hellebore. Do you guys know what that is? I guess I'm going to need to show you that because not everybody knows what that is. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find a pic for you. I had never heard of it, but somebody here has it in their garden. And it impressed me so much that I had to get some. Now, this is a red one, but this actually blooms when the snow is on the ground. I don't think I've got a red one. I think I've just got a regular white one, but the white one would look like this. But there's something about that blooming when the snow is on the ground that you see, and it comes. I obviously in the coming years I'm going to get different varieties of it, but I so promised myself that I would get some, and now I've got the seeds and I've already planted them, so that is awesome. Hold on, I want to get back to my oh, that was clever. I managed to nuke my quotes. Hold on a second, everybody. So to me, I don't know how many of you are doing the same thing. That you're getting your garden, you're starting to think about what you're going to plant in your garden, if you're lucky enough to have one, of course. Because it really is an important part of be prepared, not scared, right? I'm now literally started to plant some late summer flowers that I put the seeds in, June, and now they're big enough that I can start putting them in the garden. So it's a long process, but it's working out. And how about this one? It said that asking for help doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong, even when you don't feel strong. And I would ask you, what is it you need help with this week? What is it you think that you need help with this week? And have you asked somebody to come and help you? The other reason I like asking for help is because most people are happy to come and help you. That's what I found. They need to be asked, but they're pretty happy to come and help you. And not only that, it's amazing what you learn. However, I've also learned that it's a really good idea to know your people. Now, for example, as you're going to hear, that with Doug, when Doug comes, I know that he likes to know what it is that I want done. And then he likes to do it. All right. He doesn't want me helping him a lot of the time. And you're going to hear more about that. By the way, if anybody's got a viewer question for this week, please ask it. Start typing now so that I can be prepared. In the meantime, I'm just going to carry on. All right. So Doug came over yesterday. I lie, on Friday. He came over on Friday. And it was amazing to me what he managed to get done. I made sure that I had a list because he works well with that. I also made sure that the list was in priority order to me, not necessarily to him. But, this is the most important thing for me. And quite honestly, the most important thing to me was my safety. I had an issue where the steps going, I think you all know that at the back of my house here, I've got tiered gardens and then a very steep bank with steps going up it. But over the years, the soil under those steps had eroded and they were wobbly. Now, I'm pretty certain you wouldn't want me going up a wobbly set of stairs where the stones were going to fall over. And so what I did was I asked for help in getting that. There was one step that really needed stabilizing. Otherwise, it was going to be dangerous. And, I noticed that Dougie looked at it for a while, and then he started at the top where the step was already secure. And I said to him, honey, I don't need that one fixed, and he looked at me and I went, I'm sorry I spoke. And I literally walked away and asked if there was anything I could help him with. And, what I realized was he had a plan. You could tell by the look on his face, he had a plan, and the plan was to redo all the steps. And it was just like, okay. If that's what you want to do, then let me not get in your way. And all I did was about an hour later, I sort of went out and said, would a beer go down well about now? And he said, it would, yes. Having double checked, what he was drinking for beer, I did that quietly during the week with Jess, what beer was he drinking these days so that I would have plenty on hand. So it was amazing what he did. He completely rebuilt all the steps, and he also is a perfectionist, and I'm not. And me, I just wanted a bit more stable than it is. He wanted it solid, and so it's still a work in progress in his mind. But as far as I'm concerned, they're so much better. It's wonderful. I also had a gutter that was dripping, and what I wanted him to do was, I know a lot of my gutters were cleaned during the process of the house getting rebuilt. And Jeannie, you've got that added advantage as well, where all your gutters are clean, right? But what I was concerned about was that I've got a couple of gutters that are leaking now. Actually, the drain pipes are leaking at the connections. And he looked at them and said, well, Mum, we really need to renew a couple of these. And I said, well, that's fine. How about we patch them up for this season, and then next year we will, work on replacing those. And, we actually had a lot of fun. That ad for that white stuff that you can slap it on anything and it stops the leak. Well, it doesn't. It sort of does. The other thing is they don't warn you that it is very drippy. And you try to put it up somewhere high and it drips all over you. So it was actually quite entertaining. And so that was quite something. And sorry you have to go, Jeannie. Now the biggest challenge of all was my fireplace. How many of you have got a gas fireplace in your home? And the strange thing is that I don't think that the glass on my fireplace had been removed, had been cleaned in decades. And I said to Doug, I've typical me, I've done the research. I know technically how to get the glass off. But I waited until you came so that we could do it together in case it's heavy or difficult or something. And I knew you would prefer that I did that way because safety again, right? But it turned out to be incredibly easy to take the glass off. It literally was a case of getting, the fascia off the fireplace, which popped out. I think you lifted it up and out. And then 2 screws at the bottom came out. And then literally the glass had like a lip on the top of it that hung on to something. So when you had those 2 screws out, you just very quietly lifted it up and away. And then you took it to get cleaned. Well, I left Doug to clean all the dust and garbage that was in the fireplace area, the inside. It's amazing, what gets in there. While I quickly went to clean the glass. Listen to those words. Quickly. And I tried everything. I cleaned it, first of all, with soap. Yeah, that wasn't working. Then I tried Windex. Then I tried spray on the Windex and let it sit for a while. That wasn't working. Then I tried straight vinegar. That helped a little bit. And then it went down the list of everything I had in the house until I was thinking about oven cleaner as a possibility. But what I actually did was I got some of these soft scrub Vim. And I was amazed how that lifted it off. You know, after all the other things I'd used, now maybe all the other things weakened the composition of what was glued onto that glass. But the incredible thing was that I got to take a picture quickly. Hang on a second, because you know, a picture paints 1,000 words. Hold on. And by the time we'd finished, it looked like I had a brand new fireplace. And it wasn't even perfect. But before, and I don't have a picture of what it was like before, but before there was just like smoke all the way, I would say halfway down, all down the sides and halfway down. So you didn't get that view of a fireplace at all. So it's like, for a lot of hard scrubbing, I got myself a new fireplace. And I know that all the dust that was inside has also gone. All right, because I know that Doug removed that for me. Whoops. So safety again. I'm really happy with that. All right, so dropping my phone is never a good idea here, people. How about this one? I want you to think about this. The excuse of I don't know how becomes a choice when you never ask anybody for help so you can find out how to do it. Does that make sense? I'm going to read that again because I think that's a phenomenal quote. The excuse of I don't know how becomes a choice when you never ask anyone to help so you can find out how to do it. For example, while the contractor was in doing some work on my bathroom, he did the most incredible work with silicone. Now, I don't know about you, but silicone can get pretty messy. And I said to him, all right, you've got to tell me how you do that. And he said the trick was that whenever you're using silicone, make sure you have a wet rag with you, a wet one, not just little damp, but a wet one. Because the whole thing about silicone is that you need water for it to have a nice bead at the end. All right. And he said, so in the hand that he's got the silicone, he's pressing the silicone while he is now keeping his fingers wet. And then he goes like that. And it was just, it sounds so easy when he said it. And I'm looking forward to trying it. I am pretty certain my attempt will not be as good as his because I'm realistic. But, you know, when I've had enough practice, maybe it will be. How many of you have a hard time asking for help? How many of you would rather spend days of frustration rather than get somebody to help you with something? I have to thank YouTube because I don't know about the rest of you, but almost anything you want to know how to do is now up on YouTube. How many of you, agree with me? I was talking to my neighbor yesterday, and she said, she couldn't believe it. She was battling with something, and then she thought, I'm pretty certain they wouldn't have this on YouTube, but let me try. And she said, there it was. Not just one person had put it up, but about four. And she said it was just like, oh, it was how to get the glass, how to clean the oven glass, between the two layers of glass, how to get in between there and do it. She said there were a stack of different ways, but there were four just on her model of oven. Right. And Sharon's saying, me, I'm the first one to offer my help, but the last one to ask for help. So here we go, Sharon. This is your assignment for this week. What is it that you want to get done that would be so much easier if somebody helped you? You see, one of the things that I needed Dougie's help with, obviously, was the brute strength. I needed his muscle to help me with those steps, because it was literally digging into a lot of hard earth with rock in it and all sorts of things. And so, I needed that help because I didn't have the back or the physical strength to do it. I could do it, but it would take me a year. And that's, I literally scrape a bit out and then I need to rest, So I knew that he'd be able to do it, much more quickly, which he did. But, it was also like the boxes that were in my studio. I wanted those out of the closet area, but they were the heavy ones. I made sure they put the heavy ones that I wasn't going to be in a hurry to get to put those in there so they were out of the way. But now I want to finalize that closet area. And so to do that, I got to get everything out so I can prep the walls and repaint them, and then do some trim that it needs before I build the unit that will go in there. So, and again, what I needed was maybe 10 boxes moved. And, Doug looked at the room and said, while I'm doing this, would you like me to tidy the rest of it up a bit so it's easier for you? Well, I'm not going to say no. Why would I say no to that? It was just like, sure, honey. And then I realized I might need to drop some other things off my list. But, yeah, I mean, if because he's great at organizing things. And then in that corner, right there, is wrong corner. So, no, right corner. In that corner, right there, is a Lazy Susan. You know what I mean? A big double layer one, and it has not worked properly since I got here. And he got it working. And I don't know if you can see what I put in. I decided I'm going to put all my plastic in there. Right? So the top has lids and things and small plastics, and the bottom will have the bigger plastic. And that has freed up a drawer here that was full of plastic. All right, so Jody's saying, I had a terrible time asking for help before I became disabled, but I was forced to ask for help for so many things that I learned to look at it as a gift. It was an important lesson in gratitude. Yes, and patience too, Jody. Haven't you found that? That because you're going to need help. And I found that, that getting help in a sort of a group thing, as I said, if Yvonne comes, I know that I've got one or two things I would really like some help with, and she's always more than willing to help me. Turn my mattress or, do something like that. So it's amazing, and I found that having, it also, for example, I knew I could not move some of those heavy boxes on my own, and so the gift of patience. learning that it wasn't important. It didn't have to be done this week. It could be done in the fall. All right. But then Dougie came and it was, I knew he could do it easily. And I actually said to him, take all the boxes and put them in my bedroom. And he didn't want to do that. He said, your bedroom looks so pretty. Why would I put them in there? He said, let me reorganize what is here so that you don't have to have that happen. Isn't that kind of him? So I am now so happy because I am now ready for the next step in finalizing the unpacking. All right, so Beth, hi Beth, good to see you, Beth, and happy birthday for the 26th, Beth. Beth's saying most of the time I would do it myself because of 9 times out of 10, in my warped mind, it would be not as good as if I did it myself. Work in progress. All right, now for me, you see, I know Dougie doing it, it'll be far better than I'd ever do it, right? Because Dougie is a perfectionist. So but I understand that, and the same thing, Beth, because you and Doug have very similar work ethic and the way that you do things, do you understand that when I ask him to help me with something, I try not to tell him how to do it? He's much better and much happier doing it, his way in his time with his ideas. Now, what I did do was I did come up with a couple of things to help him. In other words, I become the apprentice. I can see that he's going to need a shovel or a trowel or whatever, and I'll go and get those because I know he's going to need them. And bring out the occasional beer was very helpful, I found. Yes, Beth, I agree. Beth's saying that Doug and I actually care about doing a quality job. Yes, and it's not, it's about the way he does everything in his life. So can you see that because I didn't get tied up with, well, it's our birthday celebration day, so therefore, we shouldn't do that. Yeah, I shouldn't ask for help. No, this was that was his greatest gift to me, quite honestly. Now, he did also bring presents. Very unusual. Doug isn't into presents. He doesn't like giving or receiving them, but it was his 40th, so I got away with getting him presents. But he also bought me a big planter for my, yet to be friendship rose garden and peony garden out front. And so I now have another big planter, and it's sort of like a duck egg blue, very unusual. But he also bought me another hanging basket. And I realized, I've had that challenge about the deck and the what do you call it? Community manager person not liking my nursery. I realized I can actually have my whole nursery in hanging baskets. I just needed to get my mind around that. I can grow the seedlings here, which I'm doing, and so I can grow seedlings inside, and that's dill, and that's basil and cilantro. Anyway, so I can grow it inside. And then when they are strong enough to be transplanted, then they can go into a hanging basket outside. So now I'm going to change what I'm doing and create a hanging nursery. Yeah, something. Beth is saying she missed that part of my life, that story about the manager. Yeah, I built a nursery on my deck, and I was asked to remove most of it. So I'm trying to make a plan B. I actually started to fight it, and then I thought, something, I really need to learn to do as much as I can to play by the rules here. I was saying to Doug, and I don't know if any of you can relate to this. I know what happens to me is that my freedom, it feels like my freedom is challenged, right? I should be allowed to do whatever I like with my dick. What was annoying was I put up a wall uh, of cubies facing my carport, because they made me remove my shed, if you want, my one shed. So I built this wall of cubies, so the back was just literally squares of like a screen. They didn't like that. Now that was being picky, I'm pretty sure, but something, I just went, I'm going to learn to go with the flow of it more. And so I went, now I need to work out what I'm going to do instead, because I will have a nursery. I do like growing things, as you all know. And it does get too hot in the summer. As you know, this temperature in that greenhouse window went up to just under 130 degrees. So I can't grow seedlings in there in the summer, but I can for the rest of the year. Yes, I agree with you, Beth. Beth's saying that's just silly. We're in a pandemic, lots more to worry about in the world. I agree with you, but something, some people just need to do it. And by the way, um, they were complaining about things that there are people who have far worse than I do. So I know part of it's personal, and I'm just going to wait it out until I'm not the flavor of the month anymore. Apparently, for this year, I am. So I'm looking forward. My new goal, Beth, is can I get through a year where I don't get a letter? How much adapting do I need to do? So I think this about me. I get upset to start with, and then I look at it and go, what do I need to learn? Right? What would I need to learn to let go of the stress of what's happening? And I'd need to conform. If I did it by the rules, she wouldn't have reason to complain, would she? I thought this was nice. Don't be shy about asking for help. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise. Think about how much joy I have had, um, just in the last 24 hours by asking Doug to help me. That Lazy Susan has been empty for 5 months. Why? I couldn't get it back together again. He did. I don't know how he did it. Now, normally I would have watched him, but I knew you can see how big that space is. Yeah, Doug in the. What I will do is next time I'm sitting down with a beer with him, I will go, now tell me literally how you did it, so that in case it gets loose again, that I can do it. So, oh, excellent. Beth is saying that her coworker tested negative for COVID Delta. Thank goodness. I don't have to have time to isolate. Right. When do you start your new job, Beth? Because that must be getting pretty soon. I heard a really great argument um, from my neighbor yesterday. And she was saying that one of the neighbors here was talking to her, and they don't believe in getting the vaccines and doing, all sorts of stuff. And it was interesting because she let him talk it out. And then she said, well, you do know that by doing that, you also don't care about me. And he was, no, I know what he was complaining about. He was complaining about the fact that we're now going to have passports, that say we have been inoculated. And it was really interesting because he was saying he thought that was an infringement of our personal rights. And she said, no, what's an infringement of personal rights is the fact that I've done everything right. And people who choose not to get vaccinated can now put me at risk. And so, yes, I want to know that the person sitting at the next table in the restaurant has got a passport that says they're fully vaccinated. Yeah, I want that. That's my right. And I thought that was quite interesting. How many of you feel the same way? Right? That now it's a case of those people who prefer not to vaccinate, that they're now putting, uh, that they are now, the onus is now on them to be isolated rather than us. So it is a very difficult, and I great believer in choice, by the way. If you choose not to be vaccinated, that is your right. But I do believe that you do not have the right to put me at risk after I've worked so hard to make sure that I'm not, because my life depends on it. And so does Jodie's, and I'm sure, Beth, yours as well. You've got a compromised immune system. It's really important. And, somebody else was saying to me, well, now we're going to have a third, jab, whatever. And I said, if we have to have one every 6 months, I'm okay with it. As long as I don't have to pay for it. It's just like, yeah, thank you. If that's what it takes to stay ahead of this, then I will be happy to take it. And, somebody else was saying, well, what's the point of a vaccine if it only lasts for 6 months? I'm going, well, it kept me alive so I can talk to you and have this argument. I'm quite happy with it. Now, the other thing that I wanted to remind you, right, in the story about the fireplace glass, you understand that by doing it together, I was able to see how easy it was, so that next year, if I need to, I can do it on my own and know that it wasn't heavy. I know exactly the process to take. And so it was so important to me to learn that lesson. Beth is saying her district manager said, even though her grandson who lives with her has COVID, she still has to come to work unless she gets symptoms. Yeah, and Beth is saying, I'm not comfortable with that, but there's nothing I can do. That is the whole issue, isn't it? She has to go to work because she needs the money. But how many companies are now saying, Beth, that unless you're vaccinated, you don't come to work? And again, Beth, if you do have to be around her every day, and so do your customers, all right? So there's part of me that goes, maybe there is work that she can do that puts her at less exposure to everybody. I don't know. Maybe in the storeroom. You know what I mean? It's just like minimize whatever you can. And Beth is saying that her company at the moment requires neither vaccination nor masks at this point. So it is voluntary whether you wear a mask or not. And if you think about it, if she has COVID in her house, it doesn't necessarily mean that she will get it. And the reason I say that is, the house I used to have, Beth, that I sold over a year ago, with Yvonne in it. The people who bought the house and now live above Yvonne, as I did, they got COVID and she didn't get it. They lived in the same house with the same ventilation system. And they got it in the winter months where the heat was on and, all those sort of things. So you understand, it's just because it's in the house doesn't mean that she will necessarily get it. Let's hope that I would suggest that everything she does to help her immune system will protect her from it. And that's another thing that I think people are beginning to realize. Do what you can to up your immune system. Yes, exactly. Beth's saying, so as she is a cashier, so she's touching money, the registers, and all the products in the store. You're right. She's touching the product as it goes in. She can't wipe, you can't make her wipe it down after she's touched it. So maybe, I don't know what the answer is, but I'm pretty certain they're going to come up with the answer pretty soon, Beth. Because we're going to have to. I like this one. It said, asking for others' guidance helps you see what you may not be able to see. It's always important to check your ego and ask for help. How about that one? How many of you know that part of the problem about getting help is you're going to have to check your ego at the door? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I assure you that getting out of Doug's way and letting him do those steps on his own was the best decision I ever made, even though it was driving me insane because I wanted to help him. But it was the best decision. Why? He in his head knew exactly what he wanted to do, and he didn't stop until he finished it. And he was happy. He felt he'd achieved something. The same thing as when he was in the cupboard trying to fix that lazy Susan. It was interesting because I obviously played apprentice and brought him screwdrivers, and I just said, keep telling me what you need next. And I didn't bring one screwdriver. I bought the whole set so he could choose what he wanted. It was just like my job was to help him do what he wanted to do. And also, I just kept he kept sort of finishing tasks and saying, okay, what's the next one? And I go, you sure? And he go, yep. I go, okay, fine. The next one is, we finished the whole list. I was stunned. All right, so Beth is saying, I had to tell my boss that I'm getting exhausted from running 2 stores, one which is 40 minutes away from me. I work 4 double shifts now in a row. Oh, I work 4 double shifts starting tomorrow. We just don't have employees. Why is that, Beth? Do you think? Do you think people just don't want to work anymore? Surely people need to work now. And Beth's also saying, I told the other store they need to close at 5 p.m. instead of closing at 9. Nobody is applying. Isn't that scary? So maybe they've got to up the rate. Maybe the reason nobody's applying is because the hourly rate is too low under today's new systems. That's the other thing. You might want to think about something clever like a signing bonus. I don't know. It's just like everybody is fighting for employees. So what is your company doing that makes people want to come and work with you? And, if it's exactly the same as everybody else, that's fairly hard work in your store. Think about, I you're probably thinking about it every day, but it's like, what do we need to offer that other people don't, that will help us get employees? Because you cannot run stores without employees. And if you're not running stores properly, then you're losing money. And so a little bit of money up front is going to be cheaper in the long run. I have a question for you all. Where were you 16 years ago today when the last hurricane hit? That was Katrina, when it hit New Orleans. How many of you can remember exactly where you were when that hurricane hit? I was absolutely stunned because I know that I was sitting in my sister's living room, obviously about to celebrate my birthday the next day, same as today, when that hit. And that absolutely changed the whole of everything, because obviously for the next 48 hours and more, we were glued to the television. Yes, Beth's saying, I was watching Anderson Cooper on CNN, glued to the TV. Yeah. Jody's saying, in California, burger joints. Oh, interesting. In California, burger joints are offering $20 an hour to start because they couldn't find anybody to fill the positions. That is what I think is going to happen. Is if you want employees, you're going to have to pay them properly. Jody's saying, I too was glued to the television. Yes, I can. And, I don't know about you, but holding my breath is it District 4? Is that what they called it? When you saw the pictures of that area. And I haven't had time to watch much television today, but I'm hoping that the levees that they built, the new levees that they built, will hold and keep that district safe this time. But, I'm pretty sure that they're wiser than they were 16 years ago. And did you hear today that the winds were so bad earlier, and that was before it even hit landfall? The winds were so strong earlier that it pushed the Mississippi flow the wrong way. And instead of flowing down to the Gulf, it started to push all the water up the Mississippi and quite a way. Ninth Ward. Thank you, Jody. I thought it was fourth, but it was the ninth, yeah. But literally the winds were pushing the water back up the Mississippi. Now that will cause even more flooding because you're going to have it flooding because of that. And then when, it's moving very slowly, which means there's going to be a lot of rain. A lot of rain means a lot of flooding. And it's going to be really scary again, I'm afraid. And it won't necessarily be today. It'll be in the next week, when that water starts to try and get back into the Gulf. That's when, because the area is going to be saturated. It won't be able to hold any more water, so it'll just start flooding. It's going to be really nasty. So if any of you have got family and friends there, I pray for their safety, as I said at the get-go. And any of you that know people that are still in Afghanistan, obviously, I pray for their safety as well. And, what can we do except pray? But, it struck me as so strange because I thought, boy, I know exactly where I was when Katrina hit. And how many times I shook my head and going, why aren't they helping those people? Whereas today, I don't know if, or I noticed during the night that they already have all the rescue trucks lined up. And that's different. All right. If you remember that there wasn't that sort of preparation for Katrina. But now, you just saw a complete convoy of trucks, generator units, all the big stuff that they're going to need, already lined up, obviously outside the hurricane direct hit zone, but ready to start rolling as soon as it's safe to do that. And that made me feel much better for them. It's not going to help a lot of people, but hopefully it will help some. And they are saying that they could be without services for weeks, maybe months, some of them, depending on where they live. Scary, right? I wanted to ask if any of you have had any more successes with new habits. All right, because that's what we were talking about a couple of months ago. And I'm about to tell you about mine, but let me just read what Beth says here. Sal, I'm going to send a few pictures of this awful store that I'm trying to help. You will see how overwhelmed I am at that place. I don't even know where to start. It might give you a laugh. No, it won't. It will break my heart because I know your standards, Beth. So here's what I would do. All right. And this same thing, Beth, that I say to anybody who's in overwhelm. Don't try and fix the whole store. All right. Say to yourself, if I only fixed one part of it this week, which is, and I would think probably the bit that the client sees as they walk in, right? So, take that picture and just say, okay, now I'm going, and if the picture is of the gondola ends of 4 rows, then just go, okay, fine. I'm going to start with that one, or I'm going to start with the one closest to the door. And that's all I have to do. And get that, or I don't have to do it, but I get that organized. I get people organizing that. and then just, okay, the next one is this, and then this, and then this, until that picture is clean. And then I would go to the next bit and take a picture. All right, Beth, it's the only way that, quite honestly, I think you can do it. Because if you try to do the whole store, not only will you just exhaust yourself, but you will exhaust your staff as well. And so I would also find out, Beth, okay, she sent me a photo. Hold on a second. Sorry. Wow. Beth, can I share this, or would you rather I didn't? I can share it. Okay. So apparently unplugging my tablet wasn't a good idea, but we'll work with it. Wow. So Beth, the question that I have is, don't they have stock? I mean, this looks like pandemic time, right? It's all in the storeroom. They just haven't bothered to unpack it. Yeah. Okay, let me do another picture here for people. Yeah, because it looks a bit... All right, let me tell you what... Look at the next one. Okay. This one? Yeah, I like the presentation boards on the floor. Yeah, really nice place to put them. Yeah. Normally they're up here somewhere, aren't they? All right, so here's my reaction, Beth. When I saw the first one, the aisles are all blocked. Yep, I'll believe you. When I first saw the first picture, which is this one, which I don't think I showed the viewers, but my reaction to it was, are we living in Russia? In other words, I've seen stores like that, but normally it's in Russia, all right, where instead of there being a wall of products for sale, you got one or two things. That was the first thing I thought about. Oh no, Brett, don't do that to me on a Sunday. She's saying she found old dog food in the storeroom with maggots crawling everywhere. Oh. Oh. I can't unsee that picture. It's very unfortunate. But that's stressful for you. Obviously, very stressful for you. So when you look at it, Beth, don't try and fix it all, honey. You will drive yourself insane. And also, if you haven't got enough staff, she sent another picture. If you haven't got enough staff, yeah, that's what it's meant to look like. I know. Okay, let me see if I can get that bigger. No. Okay, so this is what a properly packed store looks like, in my view. Yeah, that's your store. I'm not surprised. Perfect. I mean, even to the extent that everything is lined up. If you guys don't see this, the thing that I saw immediately was not just as are they all at the right, all forward, but also if you look at it, all the names on the products are in exactly the same place on each one of them. Look at this. It's amazing. Well, Beth, there's a reason why you were the top person, right? It looks beautiful. I'd almost be scared to take something out to mess up your. There's a gap there. There's a gap there. Somebody must have taken a whole lot and put them in there. Boy, that's amazing. Yeah, there's a gap. Yeah, really. Just thought you need to know. It's right. Okay. Oh. Hang on, Beth. Where is it? Okay. Can you see it? It's there. Somebody took. And the only reason I saw it was because I was busy looking how all those things are perfect. And I went, wait a minute, there's a hole there. Yes, it's the Oreo double stuffed, sells out very quickly. Yep, I believe you. See, she even knows what it is. But that's why I love it when you come in. You always make me laugh. You always bring humor to what is a very stressful situation. So I would, one of the things I like about your company, and I think I'm correct in this, Beth, is that your company takes the right picture, right? They take a picture to show you what it should look like. Am I correct in that? So when people need to restock something, they know this is what it's meant to look like. So what if you just, what I would do, Beth? Now you're going to do whatever you normally do, I know, but what I would do is I'd find somebody who really likes Pringles and stuff, right? And I go, I know you love this stuff. So I'm going to give you this little bit to do today. Just this bit. That's all. That's the bit I want you to concentrate on today. Just make it look like this for me. And I find the person that loves pets and go, here's what I need. For the sake of all the pets in the world that are in our district, please help me here. And give them bits to work on that they love. Right? Not the whole store. Not the whole store. It's too much. It's overwhelmed for anybody. Ask for help. So again, the question I would have is, would it help, Beth? Oh, that's so sad. Sorry, she's saying it's a bad neighborhood, so people don't care. Customers overdose in the parking lot. I'm a country girl. I can't help them much. I'm thinking, Beth, that I had a problem like that once in a company that I went to do some troubleshooting in, where it was totally overwhelmed. Do you want to know what I did? It was, yeah. What I did was I went to my president and I said, I need permission to close the company for one day. And he's going, what? And I said, I want everybody in, but I want it closed to customers for one day. And by the way, it was a magazine company. So I literally, why? I want everybody in their jeans and dirty T-shirts. And we are all going to get this put right. But We need people to come in, get dirty clothes, not in their office clothes. We need people to come in with their work gloves and, be prepared to, do all that stuff. And he said, you know what it's going to cost me to close it down for a day? And I said, yes. And I know what it's going to cost you if you don't. Your choice, not mine. But if you give me one day, I know we can get this fixed in a day, because I'll make sure we do. As long as it's within our human capability. But I can't keep doing this piecemeal. It needs furniture moved. It needs this done. We got desks in front of fire exits, for goodness sake. It needs the whole lot changed. All right. So Beth is saying, I do have to say that even though the store is a disaster, I was able to do a lot of stocking, and customers, the elderly ones, would come up to me and tell me, thank you for putting the products up that they can get to them. Of course, Beth. Every day you prove that your contribution to the world is to help the vulnerable. Yes, the customers need that store open, but I am pretty certain the customers would, if you could give them warning, next Wednesday the store is going to be closed because we're going to restock everything for you. I am pretty certain, or not Wednesday if that's the day they get pension checks or something, but you know what I mean? Pick a day and ask the management, and I would bring in extra people from other stores if necessary. And I know everybody is short-staffed. So Beth, here is the thing: if the elderly home next door gets a week's warning, they will know that it's coming, and also you will be telling them, at every checkout, just remember we're going to be closed on Tuesday because we're going to restock the shelves for you to make it easier for you. All right? If it's okay with your management. So did anybody go and visit somebody this week? Part of not being lonely is to make sure that we make the effort to go out and visit people. And again, it's easier not to. I know that. But our excuses about COVID and everything are getting thin now. And so it is time for us to go visit people. Don't wait for them to visit you. Go help somebody else, right? We've talked about the magic of, having somebody come and help you. But now let's turn it around. Who do you know that needs some help? And even if you don't think they do, just tell them, I need to set up a time when I can come and visit because I want to come and help you with whatever you might need help with. I had a friend who had a big problem that was looming for her. And I wasn't getting the answers that I needed so that I could help her. So I said, okay, I need to come over for lunch. And, we organized that. And during lunch, I found out why I hadn't got the answer and, felt much better. But, the thing was that because I was able to be there and talk it through with her, and then, luckily the advice I had given her the previous time had helped her so much that she had asked the right questions, got the right answers, and therefore was out of a lot of stress. So, but the fact that I went there and had lunch with her, and by the way, I didn't keep score much. I did a bit. Why? I've been back for 5 months. I've been there twice, and she has not been here yet. But then I thought, that's not being a friend, right? And if I need to go 4 times, if I let go of keeping score, and I know right now she does need help, so why keep score? That's not very friendly, right? And by the way, her little puppy, spoiled little thing. The thing about puppies is they will tell the visitors exactly how spoiled they are. Yeah, we sat down for lunch, and guess what? The little puppy sat down and then watched her mum a bit and then started to bark at her. Woof, woof. And the woof was, why aren't you feeding me from the table like you normally do? Because as soon as it happened, I went, you normally feed her from the table, right? And because I'm here and I hate that, I never allowed my dogs into in wherever we were eating. I would the dogs had to be at the door. They were allowed to watch, but they had to do it from the doorway. They weren't allowed. If I was in the dining room, they weren't. My dogs are not allowed in the dining room if I'm eating. If I'm in the living room eating, all right, they can be in the dining room and look at me, but they can't be in the same room. And I always was very, very solid about that because I hate that when dogs beg. And then, it was just like, then she had some dessert, and we moved to the living room to sit down and have a dessert, which was really lovely. But guess what? The puppy immediately up on the couch, and I'm going, yep, and she gets fed on the couch as well. It was just like, you cannot hide that, people. So for those of you who've got totally spoiled pets, no names mentioned, would your pet embarrass you the way that, and the whole thing that I saw was this puppy was treated like a human, not like a dog. All right. It was cradled and it was just like, I felt sorry for the puppy. And on the other hand, who rules the house? I know who rules the house, and it's not her. I always remember somebody dog sitting when my German Shepherd Bud. I always remember somebody doing that while I was in Africa. And the funniest thing was that when I came back, the person dog sitting said, how did you train your dog to only go out if he gets pizza? And I said, what? And he said, how did you train your dog to only go out if he gets a piece of pizza? And I said, I don't know. How did my dog train you to give him pizza so he would go out? Because that is the question. He wouldn't dare do that to me. And then he said, oh, and does he drop a ball on your head while you're asleep so you will go out and play with him? I said, what? He said, does he chew it till it's good and wet and then drop it on your face while you're sleeping? I said, no, he likes to live. If he did that to me, he would be a dead dog, and he knows it. How did he train you to do that? I said, have you been getting up in the middle of the night and playing ball with him? I said, really? Dogs need the alpha. The alpha is the pack leader. If you're not the pack leader, they become it, and they rule the roost. Okay? Don't do that to a dog. It's not fair. It's not fair to the dog. They're insecure. All right? They need to be secure that you're the one that's protecting them. You're the one that has strength. You're the one that makes the rules. You're the one that has discipline. It's like children, people. It's just like, really? Study dog psychology. Rewatch Caesar Milan, and see how it's not dog training, it is people training. No doubt about it. All right, I do have some good news for you in terms of those habits. You remember that I've been doing 10 minutes a day tidying up my deck that needed tidying up. And I have to tell you, it's nearly done now. It also helps when you invite people over because it gives you a bit more motivation. So that's nearly done. I think by the next broadcast, it'll all be tidy. Wow, quite a big job. Well, maybe 2 weeks. The other thing is, every morning after I've done, check the emails and things, which I do in my craft room, I then, before I leave that room, do another bit of tidying up. And my craft room now is tidy, except now it's got some boxes in it that came out of the studio, but I'm ignoring those because the actual craft room itself is looking pretty tidy and organized. And I found that those pens that I showed you, these pen things are great for making little name tags for my cubies. And I'm just clipping them on with a bulldog clip. So, and it looks organized and they all look the same. And that's great. So again, just 10 minutes a day, right? Just before I leave the room, because I try to do different things in different rooms every day so that I have that routine. But before I leave the room, I just look around and go, what's the next thing? A bit like Beth and her store. What's the next thing that needs to get tidy? Okay, this area here, and it's small, Beth. I don't try and clear up the whole room, all right? Just where do I spend 10 minutes? I want to get this sorted. All right, and I do feel the great feelings of joy. I don't know about you, how you're doing. How are you doing getting prepared for the autumn? All right, how many of you have now got your emergency lights for the ones that you promised to have last year? How many of you have got a good stock of batteries? You remember I got those lights where if there's a power failure, I just put a little thing on the bottom there and it becomes its own light bulb. And, I actually gave one to Doug to take home with him so that he's prepared as well. He thought that was so clever. How many of you have already started thinking about what do I need to wear for this fall? Have you treated yourself? By the way, I always say change of season. Do you need a change of underwear? Right? Because, it's like don't try and buy 3 bras at the same time. Just go, all right. I actually have done well enough now that I have already got my full underwear. So I'm ahead of the game. I've just been every now and then buying an extra this or an extra that, and I'm now ready. And I've also noticed that in my store cupboards, I try to have an heir and a spare. In other words, I'm using one tomato ketchup. Do I have the next one that's the heir? And do I have a spare? I'm noticing there are a couple of areas now where the cupboards are getting a little thin. And so I need to just do a little bit of restocking there, ready for the fall. Yeah, Jody's saying her batteries are stocked. How many of you have a battery tester? I want to tell you that, hang on a second. All right, when I finished using a battery, all right, when they go into a bag, okay, like this, and I leave them for a season. I took the March bag yesterday and I tested all the batteries, and this is how many are 3/4 or fully charged by themselves without my doing anything. Should I repeat that? And in terms of what Kim said about she doesn't want them going bad, of all the batteries I've checked this week, this year, I think I have 6 that went bad. 6. And these have regenerated themselves time and time again. And then what I do is I test every battery And these batteries here are below 50%. In other words, you know, they need to recharge a bit more before I use them. And of all the batteries I checked, these were dead. But I still don't throw them away. I'm not recharging them, Kim. I just leave them alone. They're not rechargeable batteries. These are regular there's one rechargeable one there. These are just regular batteries. I just put them away and don't touch them for a season. Now, these all are supposedly totally dead. They're zero. But I can assure you, after a season, I bet you they end up with about 50% in them. And after 2 seasons, they will have recharged themselves. I don't know how it happens. How many of you are going, that's not possible, so? Well, these are how many batteries I don't need to buy. Double A's, triple A's. Why? They all came from out of things where the battery went dead. By the way, I have found out, and the best thing you can do is buy a battery checker. All right? So batteries you think are dead. All right, so let me this is one of the ones that was 50% yesterday. So let me see where it is today. Yeah, it's less than 50% today as well. You see that it tells me how much charge it has. But within another 4 months, this could be 75%. And then the batteries that went into the stock, again, if you look at it. Okay, this one is 75%. It's a difficult angle, so. Okay. And it was dead. So, and I reckon 75% is enough. I just keep those 75 and up and reuse them. And then when it comes to midwinter, I will check them all again and sort them all again. How much money does that save me? How long do I leave them? I think I've said it 3 times now, Kim, but I'll say it again. I leave them for at least a season. So I know that this bag is summer. I won't test them again until winter. In other words, I let them sit now for the whole of the fall, and I won't test them again until winter. And I save, I would think 95% of them doing that. And I've had some of these batteries for years. I'm not recharging them, just leaving them alone. But I also, if it says 0, I don't throw them away yet. Right? I keep checking them. Because sometimes it takes 6 months before they start recharging themselves. I don't know how it happens, but they do. It's a miracle, people. I've got to go. I've got to go for dinner. All right. So this is DearMamaSal saying, I hope that helped. And by the way, the thing I was really upset about, I like English Marmite, and that's getting difficult to get now. Can you believe it? It's one of the things the pandemic is causing a problem with. I'm going to make another plan. It saves me a small fortune. Yes. But I needed to get this to help it make me save a small fortune. So that was the investment, so I could test them. Not the recharger, a tester, and then leave them alone. This is DearMamaSal saying, I got to go and eat. I said I'd be there. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye for now. Thanks for being here.